first organization, which is our Sea to Sky Hospice Society. So I'm looking for Nicole and Leslie. Just give me 1 second. Thank you for waving at me. There we go. I've got Nicole and then Leslie. There you are. Perfect. Okay, ladies, you can unmute yourselves and go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having us. My name is Nicole Carothers, and I'm the Program Director of the Sea to Sky Hospice Society. And I'm here tonight with Leslie DeBee, who is the Fundraising and Communications Director. Because I have to leave right after to host a pain and symptom management group, I'm going to gracefully exit after my presentation, and I will let Leslie stay to answer your questions. Okay. COVID has significantly impacted the experience of dying and grieving in the Sea to Sky, limiting people's access to support of any kind and increasing feelings of isolation during this difficult time. People are struggling. Compounded with grief and loss, it can feel overwhelming. And together we can make a difference with free one-on-one counseling support. So it's been my honor to volunteer and work with the Sea to Sky Hospice Society, advancing their mission to actively promote compassionate care and provide support to improve the quality of life for all people of all cultures with life-limiting illness, their loved ones, and the bereaved throughout the Sea to Sky corridor. We started and were founded in Squamish, but over the past 15 years, we've increased our services throughout the corridor and currently are supporting people from Birken to Lions Bay. Overall, hospice staff and volunteers offer an extra layer of support, positively impacting physician and nurse teams, as well as individuals and families during one of life's most challenging times. We provide counseling groups and one-on-one counseling and a number of other programs such as our bereavement walk, our drop-in groups, our infant loss kits, our bereavement support packages. We have a library, advanced care planning support, comfort care to the hospice unit, oncology clinic support, community outreach, and a few other programs as well. Over the past 15 years, the Hospice Society has operated on an extremely minimal staff, which recently increased to 3 individuals working 1.5 FTE in total. Our operating budget for the previous year was $120,000 with administration costs, including fundraising and communication, of $24,000. We are seeking these funds and support to increase our one-on-one counseling program so that we can meet the increasing needs of our Sea to Sky community members who are struggling with life-limiting diagnosis, caregiving for a loved one, or grieving the death of a loved one in our communities. Over the past 2 years, and particularly since COVID, we have noticed an increase in people seeking support for one-on-one counseling. We have seen that former resources such as volunteers or groups, community support and connections are just less available now. As well, people are feeling the stress of the pandemic, particularly those who are trying to manage the grief they're experiencing due to the end of their own life or someone they love. The Hospice Society has always offered one-on-one counseling in a limited fashion, and over the years, we've just seen this need for support increase. Some of the reasons are due to the changing face of support in our community and of those nearing end of life. In the past, it's typically been elderly people who we've supported through the end of their life, and now we're seeing more and more younger people in our programs. We're more often approached by surviving parents for assistance in speaking to their children about death and grief. We see COVID significantly impacting caregivers, which causes them to reach out for support more frequently, and grievers are struggling due to a lack of formal end-of-life acknowledgements and community support. As a hospice society, COVID has also impacted us, changed the way that we offered care, and decreased our volunteer program for now. Despite these challenges, we have maintained our essential support, offering increased one-on-one counseling during this difficult time. With these funds, the 100 Women Who Care Whistler will ensure increased care through one-on-one counseling to more people in our communities. So far this year, I've personally reached out to over 100 clients, and with this additional grant funds, we could see those numbers of increased one-on-one counseling sessions to about 125 or more hours of counseling. These funds will enable residents to be seen by a registered clinical counselor offering their services at a supported fee as they face the end of their own life or the death of a loved one. Using the Canadian Hospice Palliative Care Multiplier, we know that when we see 125 people, the impact is perhaps 10 people in their family or 5 people in their family. So we can see numbers of 100 going to 500 or 125 going to 600 people in the community being supported. And this summer, we really saw that in particular with a family who had a loved one dying, but through our one-on-one counseling, we were able to connect with a grandparent, adult children, grandchildren, and even the in-laws, and really support that family through a very challenging time. When people typically think of hospice, if they even know what it is, they think of grandma or grandpa dying peacefully in a beautiful setting with lovely volunteers there to support them. But the fact is, in our corridor, we often see more complex deaths. Younger people, sudden losses, medical assistance in dying, suicide deaths, and often these deaths leave young survivors, unexpected parents, and even children needing support. The Sea to Sky Hospice Society is the main source of care for those seeking this grief support and grief counseling in our communities. We recognize that while not all grief is traumatic and can be supported with trained volunteers and even friends, some grief is more traumatic and requires trained individuals to offer evidence-based counseling. With the support of 100 Women Who Care Whistler, we can meet that need and provide this compassionate counseling free of charge to individuals experiencing death and grief in our corridor. With your support, we can make a significant impact. So we'd like to thank you for your time. We recognize the hard work and dedication of all the community groups working in the Sea to Sky corridor to make it a better place. And we thank you very much for your time and consideration of this important program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nicole. That was amazing. If you need to jump off now, go ahead, or we'll give a few minutes for people to get their questions. Did you want to speak to anything before we do questions?
I'll leave that to Leslie. I know she can speak well on behalf of our society, but I thank you very much for your time and I apologize for zipping out.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you,
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much. So my name is Leslie DeBee. I do fundraising and communication on behalf of the hospice. And I was really excited that we were invited to present to you this evening about an incredibly important program that we have, the one-on-one counseling. The need for that counseling has increased tremendously as a result of COVID. And I'm here to answer any questions that might come up as a result of the presentation that Nicole just made to you. So feel free to ask away if I can share any answers with you.
There's no questions yet.
No questions yet? Okay, I thought my chat was broken.
Yeah, mine could be too.
All right, sometimes it takes a minute for people to get their questions up, so we'll just give it a second here.
Absolutely. I guess one thing that I could point out while you guys are working on questions, if you have any questions, is that this summer we've worked very hard at creating a couple of videos about the hospice, because the hospice is an entity that many people in the Sea to Sky corridor might have heard about or have heard a reference to, but many people have not experienced the services that are offered or the impact that the services have on the community. So I spent a lot of time this summer creating a couple of videos that share the testimonials about the experiences that people have had through their families while their family members have passed at the hospice or through counseling that they've been involved with, and created also a virtual tour, which both of those will be posted on our website. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to share those with you this evening, but it's a really great way for people to be able to learn firsthand what's going on inside of a building that most of us don't have access to a lot. And so it shows you just how absolutely beautiful the unit is to be able to provide care for people. And it talks a lot about the testimonials of people that have been involved in that care. So after this evening, starting at the end of next week, all of that will be posted on our website for people to be able to learn more about us.
Amazing.
I have 2 questions that have come in. One's pretty straightforward. They're just wondering where you're located.
We are located next to the hospital in Squamish. So there is the Squamish General Hospital, there's Hilltop House, and the hospice unit is in between the 2 buildings. So we actually were able to renovate a part of the hospital to be able to create the rooms for the hospice. They did a significant capital campaign a few years ago and raised the money to be able to build the hospice unit. So while it's adjacent to the hospital, the feeling inside of it is completely different than being inside of a hospital. But by being adjacent to the hospital, people are able to receive the care that they would need through doctors and nurses that are available through the hospice. So one of the questions came up about, do you receive any funding from Vancouver Coastal Health? And yes, we do. The funding from Vancouver Coastal Health pays for the nurses and the doctors' salaries that are up there. So that's part of a partnership that we have with Vancouver Coastal Health. The next question, if you increase counseling hours with this donation, how do you plan to continue with increased service in the future? We would like to increase our services in the future and have that be sustainable for the long term through a couple of different methods. We're launching an endowment campaign, which will enable the hospice to build a large, significant amount of money, which the interest from the endowment would contribute to the programs, as well as that we are in the process of applying to BC Gaming. Many hospices applied and received funding through a BC Gaming grant, which they get year after year for their programming. In the past, we've been too small to be able to apply for that, but I feel confident that at where we are at right now, that we would be able to be successful in that grant, and it would continue to fund those programs. But I feel that the more that people know about the hospice, the more people are willing to support us through different donations and appeals that we have.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Andrea, is there any more? I know there were a few up at the top there.
I think we covered them.
Okay.
Yeah, covered all the questions.
Okay, I had a quick question. I was just wondering, and I might have missed it in the presentation there. So the funds that we are donating tonight, you guys are going to put directly towards the one-on-one counseling program. That's correct?
That's correct. Yes.
And is that program already on the go and we're adding to it for a specific amount, or is this something that you are fundraising for to grow it?
That program is already in operation. We just do not have the capacity to be able to increase the programming to fit the needs.
Right.
As COVID has presented itself in the past couple of years, the needs that people have in the Sea to Sky corridor have increased for counseling. And I believe that, as Nicole was stating, there are more and more people aware of the importance of counseling with regards to death and dying. I think in our corridor, we also experience sudden deaths as a result of accidents, whether it's through an accident on the highway, whether it's through an avalanche fatality, etc. Any of those people are eligible for counseling through the hospice, and all of that is provided free for individuals. So I think people are beginning to recognize the services that we offer and to be able to take advantage of that, to reach out.
That's amazing. I didn't know that. So that's great to know.
Mm-hmm.
Great. I think that we are done there. So thank you so much, Leslie. That was amazing.
You're welcome. Would you like us to stay on this meeting, or do you want us to sign off? I'm not familiar with what we should do next.
You can stay on the meeting if you like, just until the end. We just ask that you don't put a vote forward on the poll. Then that you can stay, and then at the end we announce the winner, and if it is your organization, then you're welcome to say something at the end as well. So most people stay on, but it's completely up to you.
Okay.
Okay.
I'd love to stay on. I would love to hear the other presentations.
Perfect.
That would be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'll mute myself and be in the background.
Sounds great.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You're very welcome. Okay, our next organization we're going to hear from is the Canuck Place Children's Hospice. And I am looking for Caitlin. There you are. Thank you. I love the so helpful. I'm going to add you here.
Hi, everybody.
Perfect.
Everybody can hear me?
Yeah, go right
Everyone
ahead.
can see me? I was joking before this started that I've got the light correction function on and I just look like a ghost. So sorry if I'm blinding anybody right now. Thank you so much for having me here this evening. My name is Caitlin. I am the manager of strategic partnerships at Canuck Place Children's Hospice. We have been around for 25 years. So a little while at this point, and we operate 2 hospices in the Lower Mainland. So Leslie and Nicole in absentia, I really loved hearing your presentation because we really are kind of looking at sort of different phases of what hospice care can look like. So we serve children and families all over BC and the Yukon, and I'm going to talk about how many of those families are in the corridor. And we right now have over 800 families on our program. That means that there are over 800 families, all of whom have a child or have had a child relatively recently who is facing a life-limiting illness or has recently passed away. The reality is that this is not an easy thing to talk about when we talk about children who are, when they come to us, simply not expected to reach adulthood. One thing I do like to say right off the bat is the difference that we see between what people think of when they think of hospice care, a little myth busting, and what we are. So people do tend to have, and Nicole kind of gestured to this, Leslie as well, that it is they have a vision of a wonderful place, but one usually, not always, but usually assigned to sort of the later years of your life. We talk about aging parents, we talk about grandparents, that kind of phase. It's a little bit different. It doesn't seem to compute with people a lot when we talk about children. One of the key differences is that we see children on our program for an average of 7 years. So that average includes hours that we can see sometimes, a matter of hours on our program, typically with babies where there's been knowledge of an issue in pregnancy, so it's not usually a surprise, right up until 19 years of life. We do see situations where children will graduate off the program and will be with them in their literally entire childhood until that happens. So you can see that huge range. When we have a range like that, there's a different kind of care that we have to provide. So I'm going to talk about some of the care that we provide and make accessible to families in Whistler and in the surrounding regions. And I'm also going to talk about how we actually go to families in the region as well. So we have 3 areas of medical care as well as counseling. So we have what's called medical respite. This was referred to in the last presentation as well, so familiar terminology. Respite literally means lifting the burden. These are children in most cases who have severe developmental disabilities. If you can imagine, there are a wide variety of diseases that we see, that our physicians, that our nurses see every single day. For lay people, what I like to imagine, or what I like to use as an analogy, is imagine a neurological cancer where something is pushing on an area of the brain, something is wrong in that sense. You're going to have secondary and tertiary effects alongside the primary ones. So what that means is that we have complex medical care that has to be ongoing to manage all of those effects, all of those symptoms, which are interacting with each other, and that all require different medications. So this is a highly, highly specialized area of medicine. This is all happening on children whose bodies really don't want to decline. They're young, they want to keep going, they want to have fun, they want to be stretching and growing and learning, and they're not ready to decline yet. So managing all of these symptoms is really key to offering them quality of life. So medical respite is a chance for us to offer that to them. It's checking in with them, it's adjusting, it's active medical care. It's also a chance for them potentially to come in to the hospice, stay here, and take advantage of things like our recreation therapy team that plans children's activities every single day of the year. including birthdays, including holidays, including your favorite pizza dinner that mom and dad never let you get. All of those things are available to the children when they come and stay with us. Families can also choose to stay with us at the same time. We have 13 medical beds over 2 hospices in the Lower Mainland, and we also have 4 family suites at each location. So what that means is families can choose, a little bit like a hotel, to pre-book their stay and stay with us and have all of their meals, their laundry, all of that care of their child just taken care of, so they can just focus on spending time together. Or, and this is especially popular with the teenagers, they can drop off the child and maybe go spend some time with a sibling who doesn't get that kind of attention, or go have a date night because they haven't had one in forever, or go to a wedding, or just be a little human for a while, because the kinds of needs that we see with the children are exhausting and these families need the break. So that's respite care. That is something that, again, we have so many children on the program and they stay for an average of 7 years. We operate that through pre-booking system. Again, not unlike a hotel, to make sure that everybody has a chance to come in and stay. The next level of care that we operate, scratch that booking system. This is a pain and symptom management level of care. So this is when something is more acute. We always keep beds open for this and for, of course, the next level, which is end of life. So at no point are we ever booked up for respite. And pain and symptom management is exactly what it sounds like. It's coming in, adjusting medications as necessary, taking a look, seeing, is this illness progressing? Or is this something else? Is this a secondary, tertiary symptom? Or are we going down a road now? And if so, what does care planning look like with this family? How do we react now? And how quickly is this happening? Those questions may or may not lead into the most, what we call the highest level of acuity of care, which is end of life. And that is where we do see something more similar to what most people think of as in a hospice, where we see children who do pass away. And the best thing we can do is make sure that that's done surrounded by love, surrounded by family, and surrounded with people who are going to give them as much dignity as possible. That can also happen in the home if necessary. So while I've talked about our 2 hospice locations, the reality is a lot of our care, especially over the last year and a half, has been through non-physical platforms. So we've used a lot of Zoom, we've used a lot of telehealth, and we call this the Nancy Chan Enhanced Community Care Program. Nancy Chan, because we do have a lead gift from the Chan Foundation that's meant to inspire others to support this. We have seen, as you would absolutely expect, a huge spike in use of our non-physical means of delivering care, which include a 24-hour care line. So you can call 3 a.m. on Christmas Day. It doesn't matter, a nurse is going to answer you. It includes all sorts of Zoom platforms and a whole lot of technology upgrades to make sure that we could support that. Nurses who are available on those platforms, and care coordination. And if I can explain for a moment what that is, because it sounds administrative and it kind of is, but imagine you're a family living in, well, let's say Whistler, and you don't want to come down. You can't come down, you're isolating. You don't want to come down into Vancouver where the closest hospice is. You're certainly not driving out to Abbotsford. That's just necessary. And you're afraid. You don't want to come in, you have an immunocompromised child and you've been told to stay in your community. What are you going to do? Well, the reality is there's 2 ways. You can do a Zoom call just like this with our nurses. You can literally hold up a small child to the screen. We've done that and said, hey, what can we do from this vantage point? And the answer is going to be either, okay, here we're fine. Here's what you're going to do at home. Here's what you have available. B, okay, here's what you do now, but I'm going to book you into the hospice. When is a good time? How do we make that safe for you? Or C, you need to connect with some of your local health providers on a more urgent basis. If it's C, your local health providers and any community all over BC are simply probably not going to have the experience with the kind of diseases and illnesses that we see on our program. They're rare and they're complex. It's really not fair to expect your GP or an emergency room doctor to understand what's going on. So that's where our nurses will step in and coordinate that care for you. It'll happen on an emergency basis, and then it continues to happen around the family in the community. That can include care aides, that can include social work when necessary, that includes local community nursing, includes your local GP, if that makes sense. It's everything that the family needs so that they're getting the care that they need, regardless of what the physical limitations are to coming into one of our hospice locations. So all of that is funded through a wide variety of things. And that comes down to, we have, and I know the last question came up about Vancouver Coastal Health. We do receive funding, not from Vancouver Coastal, but from the Ministry of Health provincially. And that last year was about 38% of our operating budget. Our operating budget this year is about 15.3 million. We have 4 families in the Sea to Sky corridor. Each of them costs about 20 grand each year to provide all of these services for. And that's everything, including all of that care coordination I talked about, the ability to come into the hospice and use literally the beds, the meals, the laundry, all of those wonderful things that come with a stay. It includes counseling, access to counseling on any platform that's needed, as well as recreation therapy, music therapy, and art therapy. 38%, as I mentioned, of that funding comes from the government, and the rest of it, frankly, is fundraised. That's why I'm here today. It comes from community groups just like this, every year making a commitment to support families in their communities and throughout the province. So to go back a little bit, the 4 families on the program, 3 of them are in Whistler City and 1 is in Mount Curie. And last time, I believe, we got in touch with this organization, it actually was higher. And the reason was because we had more families in bereavement, and they've actually chosen to move off the program in that they are feeling okay. They're never whole again in the same way, but they're okay. And that's actually a success story for us. So we're really happy to see the numbers move that way. And of course, we want to be able to meet the need when another family needs to come onto the program. So one of the other ways, though, that we come to you in Whistler, you could see our team around one day, is we have, as I mentioned, rec therapy, and they will create these beautiful, wonderful camp experiences. We call it Summer in the City, and that can mean a whole variety of cities. We run 10 of these camps every summer, and this year one of them was in Whistler. In fact, every year one of them at least is in Whistler, and they went up the peak and they had a lovely picnic provided by Dublin Gates and Chateau Whistler. Created this beautiful spread for them to be able to go up and experience just riding a gondola. These are children in wheelchairs. These are children who don't often get welcomed onto apparatuses like that, and they got to sort of fly through the air a little bit and go up the mountain and really experience the beauty that is the mountain in the summertime. We also have a long history of working with Whistler Adaptive Ski and Snowboard. So we've gone up in the wintertime as well. We have these great pictures of happy children in the adaptive ski equipment. And that's something that we want to do for every child who's stable enough and where it's medically appropriate, of course, but to be able to experience life, to be able to experience fun, to be able to experience being a child. Whistler is a wonderful place to do that in, and we're very, very lucky to have the partnerships in town that we do. And that's one of the things that we also want to make sure that we do across the province, but in Whistler as well, because all of a sudden you don't need to come to us anymore. If you're a family living in Whistler, we're going to come to you, and we're in your backyard, and you can show us around. And some of the older children on program have historically loved the ability to sort of wheel us through the village and sort of show us, their hood, as it were. So it's been a wonderful partnership and a wonderful thing we're able to do every year, especially, and I say that as somebody who's gone up every year for my entire life. So it's wonderful for me to be able to see as well. Moving forward, we have approximately every year, and this is including in the COVID, almost 2 years now, my goodness, about a 6% increase of the number of families on our program. So the reality is, pandemic or not, these are illnesses that children are going to continue presenting with. That doesn't go anywhere. They are A, children, and therefore often not old enough yet to be vaccinated, and B, severely immunocompromised in most cases. So these are children who are going to need a lot of support. We saw a huge increase in the demand of our services, especially over online platforms over the last year. It absolutely spiked. And we, as long as this goes on, we know that that's going to continue. And we know that we're going to continue to see families coming to our program at that 6% rate roughly every year in future as well. That is across the province. And what we want to be able to do is make sure that we have funds set aside in every community to make sure that no matter where those families are coming from, that they can be supported, and not just supported at the minimum level of care, but actually that they're seeing every possible piece of care that they need. So that's where initiatives like this really make such a difference. The 4 families on our program right now are about an $80,000 budget. This would take a huge chunk out of that and to make sure that those services continue. So I want to thank you so much for this consideration and for having me here tonight. And I hope I haven't exceeded the 5 minutes too long, and I'm very happy to take your questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Caitlin. We'll just give it a second here. If anyone, I've been hearing that we're getting some text messages that the chat function is not working properly for everyone. I apologize. I'm not a Zoom professional, and so I can't see anything that's wrong in here. If you can't get the chat to work, just unmute yourself and ask the question if you can't get it to work. But other than that, if you can get the chat in there, let me know.
There's no questions so far.
We're a little gun shy at the beginning.
I'm friendly, I promise.
All right. Trying to see if they're going to direct messages to people. I think you just explained yourself so well, Caitlin.
There's one question that just popped in there.
Oh, there we go.
I see that. Okay, so yes, 60% roughly of the budget, and that does change a little bit every year, depending, of course, on how well we do on cutting back expenses, which we've been stellar at lately, and being good with, of course, what we have. We have a whole, oh my gosh, this could be a whole other presentation, everything that we do to fundraise. We have 2 major galas every year because that is charity life. There's always a gala. One of them is called Gift of Time, and that is in Vancouver, and that's coming up at the end of October. If you're curious, let me know and I can give you the link for tickets. And the second one is called Gift of Love. So they really work together, Gift of Time and Gift of Love, and they really speak to what we try to provide to families. And that one is held in the Fraser Valley. The reason we have the second hospice in the Fraser Valley is because a great deal of our population is out there. And then the one in Vancouver is, of course, the biggest sort of center, because of course that's the population center, and that's where we've seen most of the operations, the sort of assigned nurses and all that work is coming out of the Vancouver hospice and serving the corridor from there, which is why, of course, that back and forth is really important. We also have a monthly giving program. We have a team, a very small team dedicated to looking at major gifts. So that's looking at philanthropy from individuals looking to make a difference across the province. I work on what's called the corporate and community partnerships fundraising team. Again, small team, small but mighty. And we work with groups like this and also with businesses of all sizes, mom and pops, SMEs, all the way up to, giant banks, and try to say, hey, how is it that we can really speak to your employees, who want to give back to the community? Is this something that we do through sponsorship? What is it that we can do together? We have a wills program for leaving legacies to Canuck Place. That's, of course, very much playing the long game. So then in the meantime, we have to work on every year's budget. And then every year we get wonderful people who come to us and say, hey, either I want to give or I want to create an event that supports you. I want to get my friends together and we're going to run a marathon and we're going to get our friends to pledge us, something like that. And it's amazing. Every year we always worry a little bit, and every year we see the community really rallying around us, and that's incredible. I also will take a moment to myth bust something that hasn't come up yet, but I imagine might be in the back of someone's mind, which is, what is the Canucks connection? Because I always get this. And we do get some funds from the Canucks. They are our single biggest donor outside the government. That said, there seems to be this perception, I find, and maybe it's not in here, that it's sort of a, oh, you're funded by the team, which is great. And we're like, well, yes, it's about $600,000 a year. And that's in a good year. It comes from 50-50 ticket sales during games. So I'll let you kind of do the math on how that went this year. And you know, and we split that with other charities. That comes from the Canucks for Kids Fund, which is its own foundation. And we're one of the grateful recipients of that. The history of the place involves being opened with the Griffiths family as one of the key partners, opening us up 25 years ago when they owned the team. So that's hence the naming. So we have a wonderful relationship, but it certainly leaves a lot of room for us to fill that remaining 60-ish%. So long answer to a short question.
Amazing, thank you.
Oh no, the rest of that's just
I think that's it. Someone's just trying to help us technically.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you so much, Caitlin. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much, everybody, for being here tonight and for listening to me go on.
All right, our next organization is the Whistler Center for Sustainability. I'm looking for Cheeying. There you are. There we go. Perfect. All right, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thanks. It's so great to see all you guys here, all you wonderful women. And I'm so thrilled that I know at least a third of you. So I was trying to individually chat some people, but I can't individually chat. So hi to all my friends out there. And thanks for making the time. Okay, I'll launch right into it. Quite different than the last two. The world is facing challenges at a scale never seen before. Climate crisis, global health pandemic, racial inequities. But we have solutions and movements at the scale never seen before either. We're seeing leaders and leading practices in diversity, equity, inclusion, anti-racism. We are seeing efforts towards decolonization, truth and reconciliation, the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. However, most of us still struggle to make sense of it all and how we can meaningfully make a difference in our personal and professional lives. My name is Cheeying, and I'm the Executive Director of WCS Engagement and Planning, formerly known as the Whistler Center for Sustainability. At WCS Engagement and Planning, our mission is to make the world a better place. How we do it is by inspiring and facilitating effective conversations. We work with communities and organizations around the Sea to Sky corridor and all over BC to address pressing issues and to facilitate those essential conversations that will help develop solutions and collaborative strategies and actions. Some of our most inspiring work in the corridor has been 3 social venture challenge programs supporting new entrepreneurs to develop and launch their social purpose business ideas. 2 Indigenous focused business startup programs. And I have to make a shout out to Diana because she delivered all of those with me. Working with Sea to Sky food banks, food industry organizations, and local governments to develop a strategy and action plan that will reduce food waste and improve food recovery and distribution to food bank clients. A shout out to Jackie and your organization because your staff have been amazing to working with us. Providing pro bono and reduced fee strategic planning services every year to Sea to Sky nonprofit organizations. Our proposal for the 100 Women Whistler Funds is to support a new proposed project, which we're calling Building Our Knowledge in Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Truth and Reconciliation. It's a proposed workshop series focused on diversity, equity, inclusion, and reconciliation. These workshops will bring in experts to provide training, and then we will facilitate dialogue for people to share what's on their hearts around these issues, how they will use what they will learn in their personal and professional lives and share with others. We're hoping to partner with the Squamish-Lil'wat Cultural Center We're just starting to talk to them. The Community Foundation, or sorry, the Whistler Foundation, Whistler Community Foundation, and the Whistler Learning Institute. We know there is a real hunger in the corridor to be better equipped to meaningfully advance diversity, equity, inclusion, and work toward truth and reconciliation with Indigenous peoples. We feel we can provide this opportunity for people to learn in a safe environment, and then also to take meaningful action in their personal and/or professional lives and in the community. So I want to thank you for this opportunity. I love what you guys are doing. I'm going to join you guys actually. And I'm looking forward to questions.
Thank you so much, Cheeying. Are you saying you can't chat to people because your chat function isn't working?
I can only chat with everyone or the hosts.
Or the hosts? Interesting. All right, I'll give it a minute here. Can you go into just a little bit more detail on what the funds, if you were to get them tonight, what it would directly be going towards and the difference it would make in that program specifically? Yes, so
the funds would pay for the expert in the field. So for example, we've all taken courses through the Indigenous corporate training, and there's someone there who leads truth and reconciliation training. So we would bring him up, and then it would pay the experts and it would pay our staff for organizing the workshops. So that's an example. And then we have also some ideas for who we would bring in on the diversity, equity, and inclusion, racism workshop as well. So we're thinking of two workshops to start, and then maybe more if we get more funding.
Right. And are these full day workshops?
Hi, Katie. Sorry, Katie was asking about how many. We are thinking 2 for now, 2 or 3, depending on what the experts will charge. So for example, the Indigenous corporate training will be $4,000. So depending on fees, 2 or 3 workshops, and we would like to do more, so we would raise more money. And we would probably ask people to pay a certain amount, because we find that people who pay a little bit actually commit more to being there. So we just ran a workshop on creating safe cultural spaces. At WCSS was there, and a bunch of other nonprofits. So we provided it at a very, very, very discounted rate for nonprofit organizations, and we funded the rest.
Amazing. Oh.
How many people are in this organization organizing? You mean specifically organizing the workshops, Ash?
I'm not sure if she wants to. Trying to find. Is there a different way you can word your question, Ashley? She
just on the team. There are we are 3.5, so 3 full-time and 1 half-time. And how many people will be receiving the training? Probably up to 30. We find that 30 is a good number for a really personal workshop.
Okay. Amazing. I'll give it a little bit more time here, just in case. Trying to go through. Sorry, I'm just seeing that people have been private messaging me, so I'm trying to go through that and see what. I think we've got them all. Okay, all right, thank you so much, Cheeying.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Okay, so I'm gonna go forward. We're gonna put our poll up. So we have our 3 organizations there. We've got the Sea to Sky Hospice Society, the Canuck Place Children's Hospice, and the Whistler Center for Sustainability. I'm going to pop it up and then I will share the results for who won after we do a next presentation, but I'm just going to get this one up for you guys so you have a minute there. And this is where you hear the Jeopardy song in your head. I'm going to just make go Courtney and Andrea, you can now vote as well on yours. Okay. I think we've got 4 people here not voting. So we should have 50. So we've got 4 more people. Again, you can send me a private message to the 100, I don't know what it's called, the Alliance something. If you can't get your vote up. It's not a link, it's a poll. It should be on your screen. Okay, I've got one there. I'll add that to. I've got a little tally sheet going here. Some people have already messaged me. So if you're having any issues, send me. Okay. Sorry for all the technical difficulties here tonight, guys. I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, I just have, I think those 2 people there and a text message. Okay. All right. Now we're going to do our presentation from a past organization. So tonight we have Families Fighting Cancer in the Sea to Sky. They were our donation recipient, I want to say maybe November of 2019. So they were our 3rd organization, so quite a while ago. And I'm just trying to find you. If you can wave at me, Michelle and Lisa. Where? Oh, there's Lisa. There we go. And where's Michelle? Michelle, you came and you, oh, there you are. There we go. And then where's Joan? Joan, there you are. All right. So you guys can unmute yourselves if you haven't already. You're still all muted. There we go. Okay, and take it away, ladies.
Michelle. Hi. Oh, there's Lisa. And dogs. Sorry, I apologize. That was my really bad dog. Hi, everyone. So great to see everybody. We're really excited to be back, and I want to thank Ashley very much for inviting us to do this follow-up presentation on the extremely generous $13,000 700 donation that we received at the end of 2019. In hindsight, the timing was amazing. With COVID around the corner, it really helped us out a lot going forward into the pandemic. So thank you. Like, we really appreciated receiving those funds. It was fantastic. We reached out to Chloe from the Peak, love Claire. She ran a story about your donation, and that helped us to create some awareness in the community about our new program that we created because of your donation. So your donation allowed us to create a new program where we were now able to offer our support to seniors as well as singles, in addition to the families that we were already supporting. So that really helped us out, because we had a lot of people who would contact us and we would have to regretfully decline them because they didn't fit our mandate. So this really allowed us to kind of spread our net and help more people in the Sea to Sky. I just wanted to share a couple examples of how your money impacted the community and the difference it made in some people's lives. We first heard from Francesca, who is the awesome public health nurses at the Whistler Medical Clinic. And she told us about one of her clients who was a senior in Whistler who lived alone and was going through cancer treatment and had some issues accessing the medical appointments and even going to the pharmacy. So she said, is there any way you could help this person safely get from their home to their appointments, to the pharmacy and back home, and literally walk them to the counter, walk them to the door? And we were like, for sure, that's something we could do. So we were super happy to be able to just do something like that for somebody that normally wouldn't be on our radar. So that's kind of how it started. We had another gentleman come forward who was in his 40s and he had a terminal cancer diagnosis, sadly. He kind of, it was a hard one. He was in need of financial aid to cover the cost of his end of life paperwork, which is brutal. I didn't know there was such a thing. So we were able to take this burden away from him. And you know, it was just tremendous to be able to help someone in that way. I want to just a public service announcement. October is Breast Cancer Month, and statistics tell us that 15 women in this group will be affected by breast cancer at some point in their life. Men also get breast cancer, so if you have a man, please check him as well. That leads me to introducing Joan, who I think many of you probably already know. She is a very special client to us. Her journey to wellness touched us so deeply and inspired us. We think that you will find her inspirational as well. She is an award-winning stylist, and she is also the owner of Jono Hair in Function. I'm going to pass over to her, and she's ready to give back to the community, and I'm really excited for her to share with you what she has to tell us.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. Good evening, 100 Women Who Care Whistler. My name is Joan Novak. I'm a hairstylist, photographer, and business owner of Jono Hair and Function. I'm sorry, I'm really emotional hearing everybody talking this evening about hospice and care and everything I went through in the last year and a half. In 2019, I had my regular mammogram and everything was clear. The mammogram technicians always told me that I was a perfect candidate for mammograms because my tissue was very dense and I would probably never find a lump on my own. Therefore, I had never done self-breast examinations. In December 2019, I started noticing prickly, weird skin sensations on my breast and armpit area. It took me a while to realize that it was always in a similar spot. In March 2020, I noticed the shape of my breast was changing and the skin texture was starting to look like a mandarin orange. During lockdown, I woke up one morning and felt that prickly sensation again and started to feel and compare both sides of my breasts, which I'd never done before. On my left side, I felt a very definitive coffee bean, hard fixed lump. And on my right side, I felt thicker, denser tissue. I immediately knew the left side was cancer, and I did a virtual doctor appointment online. The doctor said I was urgent, and then I never heard anything for 7 weeks during lockdown. When things reopened again, I called her and asked her why no one had phoned. And a few days later, I was at the North Shore Medical Imaging Center to get my diagnostic mammogram and ultrasound. We were looking at the left breast, but they did scan both breasts and the right side wasn't detected until the surgeon doing my lumpectomy ordered an MRI prior to that surgery. June 9th, I was diagnosed with synchronous bilateral breast cancer. I had ductal carcinoma in my left breast. Then in August, I was diagnosed with lobular carcinoma in my right breast. The left side was stage 2 with grade 3 cells, and the right side was stage 3 with grade 1 and grade 3 cells. I went on to have a double mastectomy, reconstruction, chemotherapy, radiation, and ongoing hormonal therapy. Today, I feel great and I'm living my best life. In fact, today, I just purchased and closed my dream home in WHA and waiting after 10 years. So I'm super stoked for that. Sorry, I'm so emotional. Thanks to all of your generous donations, as I was one of the direct recipients. from families fighting cancer in Sea to Sky. To hear a doctor say the words, "You have cancer," is terrifying. I heard it not once, but twice within 2 months. And all I could think of immediately about was I was going to lose my business and everything I've worked for, and that I had no support, and I was absolutely the scariest moment of my life. The Families Fighting Cancer donation greatly helped me in the immediate crisis of my diagnosis. When suddenly I was going to countless doctor's appointments, getting tests done, missing work, and worrying about how I'm going to pay my bills, all on top of being a small business owner during COVID. Woohoo! This donation greatly relieved some of that initial financial and emotional stress. Also, being single and having no family in the Sea to Sky corridor, like many others here, I felt very alone and overwhelmed. Just to know that they offered services and resources that could help me with rides and any kind of information that I needed gave me some security that there was a group of people out there that care. And it brought peace of mind to me and not phone during this super challenging time. Living in Whistler can be very difficult when dealing with medical issues. And for Families Fighting Cancer in Sea to Sky, to be there to support us is essential. I'm grateful to them and all of you who've supported me and my business during this past year while I was undergoing treatments. In lieu of October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I would like to give a lucky lady a complimentary day with me in November where I will do your color, cut, style, makeup, and a photo shoot for you. It's your choice if it's a beauty or a portrait photograph. So the rules are: follow me at Joan O'Hare on Instagram, like my breast cancer awareness post today, tag 3 friends to be entered into the draw, which will happen on October 31st. I look forward to spending the day with the winner. And a reminder to all of you women out there, if you feel anything weird in your breasts or your health, to be your own advocate and to get after it, because breast cancer is very treatable in stage 1 and 2. And if you're scared, to go get looked at for fear of finding out that you have cancer, trust me, it's way scarier to have to deal with stage 3 and 4. Much love to all of you, and thank you for all of your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. That was amazing.
Thank you.
And Ashley, in closing, I want to also thank Joan. And once again, as Michelle did, I want to thank 100 Women of Whistler for the generous donation, because it couldn't have come at a better time with COVID. We lost all of our fundraising event ability. And although we could have gone to an online format for fundraising, we truly felt that, especially Whistler and the Sea to Sky in general being resort driven and tourism driven, that we really didn't feel comfortable asking the community to donate during that super difficult time for businesses and local people in general. So we were able to help people that came to us. And one thing that we did notice, however, was we didn't have kind of the usual uptake during COVID. And it was kind of fortunate because we couldn't fundraise. We have yet to be able to get a consistent source of revenue, and that is something we're going to do as soon as we can, be it through fundraising or grants. But your donation has helped us through this time for the being able to expand our range of people that we offer assistance to. And going forward, though, what we would love is if anybody in the group has any fundraising ideas, or anybody would like to be a member of our board. We do see, unfortunately, probably a bit of floodgates opening because we haven't had the usual numbers of applicants that we have. And we have a bad feeling that it's because people haven't been able to access the medical system. And so going forward, your donations have helped, but anybody who would like to step on board with us or have some fundraising ideas, we totally welcome that. And increasing awareness too about our organization, because we had just started on the uptick for that before COVID hit. And we really do feel that there is a need out in the community as expressed by Joan. And we can give maybe not a lot of money, but we can give pretty quick easy access money to get people over that initial hurdle. And, you know, GoFundMe is a typical way that you can raise much greater dollars. But what we do is super fast, super agile. It's very direct. And we just want to thank you once again for your donation. And thank you, Joan, for sharing your story.
Thank you so much for everything, everybody. I know I have lots of clients that support my business and my staff, and I'm beyond grateful for everything that everyone has done for me in this community. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. That was an amazing share. Really, I'm a little bit speechless, sorry. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing that.
Thank you. Okay.
Now I'm going to try to figure my own speaking out for a second. All right. Whew. Why we started this group to make a difference like that. Okay, so I'm going to drop a little. I don't even have my words. Okay, so we're going to do the winner of our $12,000 donation this evening. And I didn't print off papers. I'm sorry, it's been a crazy week. I was actually telling somebody earlier that I went to the bathroom just before this real quick and realized that my underwear is on backwards. So you can all laugh at me and just know that your week was probably more organized than mine was. Our winner for tonight is, drumroll, the Sea to Sky Hospice Society. Yay! I wish that everybody can unmute themselves and go for it. I'm just trying. There we are, Leslie. There we go. Leslie, if you want to unmute. Yep. Congratulations.
Oh my goodness. We're so excited. This is so fantastic because I really believe in our programs and I believe in the importance of counseling, having counseling available for everybody that needs it. And with a lot of the counseling services that's provided through mental health, they refer their clients and their patients to us. So we have been loaded with a lot of people that would be able to have their lives enhanced through this counseling. It will help them out enormously. And it's such an honor to receive the money, but after hearing the stories that were presented and the different cases that were put forward this evening, I realized that there are so many people in this community and corridor that are doing incredibly important work. And I feel really honored that we're part of this community doing important work. And I'm so thankful that you gave us this support, this vote of confidence. It means a lot. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you. And thank you so much also to Caitlin and to Cheeying for coming and presenting to us. Super appreciate it. And when I send out an email to all of our members to share the donation recipients, I always include a link for your donation pages as well. Lots of our members feel pulled in many directions on nights like this and want to support other organizations as well. So hopefully you can get some other support through others. Thank you.